Alzheimer's Association of South Dakota has had a busy legislative session so far, culminating in Advocacy Day at the state capitol and talking to lawmakers about 3 specific bills. Parker Brown in studio with our 9 o'clock top story tonight. Parker.
Hey Brian, in this session the Alzheimer's Association is advocating for Senate Bills 46 and 80 as well as House Bill 1016. Senate Bill 46 would improve access to long-term services. Senate Bill 80 would fund technology grants for elderly care. House Bill 1016 would fund a study about possible statewide program of all-inclusive care for the elderly, or PACE. Despite crossover day in Pierre today, it was quieter for the legislature, and there's a confidence that things will get done to help Alzheimer's patients.
Alzheimer's has a target on South Dakota. We have more than 18,000 people living with the disease. In our most recent facts and figures, we have the highest death rate in the country from Alzheimer's.
Earlier this month, Advocacy Day in Pierre showcased just how big of an issue Alzheimer's disease is in the state.
I think every legislator in the place was down there, mainly because I think a lot of them knew it was for Alzheimer's. You talk to a lot of them and everybody knows somebody that's got it.
Advocate John Shequin was a caregiver for his wife Paula as she battled Alzheimer's for 6 years. 3 months ago, Paula passed away just 3 days before her birthday. He still advocates for greater access to resources and medications because he knows the struggles that caregivers go through.
It's a tremendous responsibility, and things with Alzheimer's, they start out pretty slow, but as they go, they progress. And you're turned into a nurse, a doctor, a pharmacist, a CNA. I mean, you're turned into all of these things.
The Alzheimer's Association believes that Senate Bill 80, along with other legislation they advocated for, could help caregivers better provide for their loved ones.
People who are in need of long-term services and supports could have access to technology that really is intended to improve lives, and we know that that could impact people living with Alzheimer's.
They hope that the continued work of advocates can lead to a collective response to the disease with state or federal legislation. Little steps to make strides in the big picture.
People all over the state are realizing that this is a terrible disease, but they can also make an impact by sharing their story. And so I do think it's safe to say we are building momentum. We're just getting started, but I think there really is some good progress underway.
My Paula would be my biggest cheerleader on this.
Now, Senate Bill 80 is going to be heard tomorrow by the Joint Committee on Appropriations. Senate Bill 46 has been sent to the governor's desk, and House Bill 1016 passed in committee yesterday. In April, Elnis and Shequin are looking forward to going to Washington, D.C. for the AIM Advocacy Forum. Brian.
Parker Brown tonight. Parker, thank you.